Today I'm finally going to walk up this hill behind me. It's been 10 days and I think it's time to see what's on the other side. So we've been here in Heidelberg for a week now, and it's probably about 10 days. And you can really get caught up in just sitting at your desk and working, especially when you slow travel and you're a digital nomad. Heidelberg is amazing. It's got these huge hills and mountains behind this old city. So you've got like Old Town and then kind of like the newish kind of town down where the train station is. And then there's like these hills in the background that are just like the perfect backdrop for like these 19th century buildings. And we see them every day when we walk out of the house. We can see them from our bedroom. And I have not made the time to come out here just yet. And if you can see behind me, I'm not sure at the moment, but you know, these paths are just so nice to cruisy to walk down. It's nice and quiet. The leaves are starting to fall down, you know, autumn's coming through, but it's still really hot here in Heidelberg. It's currently about 30 to 31 every day. We've had summer for 12 months now because we've just passed our year of travel, obviously starting in Thailand. And now I don't think I'm sick of it yet. You know, I think we're going to be going into some colder weather, especially if we decide to stay in Europe before, you know, potentially heading back home to Australia just for a little visit. But it's so nice to not have to think about the weather every day when you leave the house. You just get up and go out with a singlet and shorts. So it might be miss soon enough. So I'm going to keep walking and we'll see where this takes us. Hopefully we get to something soon, hey? I'm recognizing some names of some landmarks that I was planning on visiting. So I'm just going to keep walking around, see where we're going. You know, up this hill here, another hill. So I kind of wanted to talk about, you know, what our lifestyle is like when we're traveling full time. As slow travelers, there's definitely no urgency to be moving around and doing a lot. That can kind of sink into your day-to-day stuff as you just sit there and you'll tend to work. I do have schedules booked in for, you know, the content writing that I'm doing for a couple of different websites. And that does get in the way of the sightseeing and the adventure that you want to have. As you can see, currently at the moment, I'd say at the top of the hill, at least I think I am. And I'm going to go down here and check out this castle or this medieval structure. But this isn't just like what we do all the time. And, you know, I think that's the best part about slow travel is that you do get to rest and you don't have that pressure to go out and do these things. Because I can tell you if I was doing this every day, it would get tiring, especially if I had to move within the next five days, 2 weeks, constantly, then that would get really tiring. At the moment, you know, our schedule is about 1 month in each place, and if we're lucky, we get 3 months, depending on the house sits that we're getting. You know, living nomadically is nice, and it's definitely not for everybody. And, you know, constantly traveling like a lot of people do, especially with kids and a family, like that would just be too much for us. So we've kind of found a nice little balance where we're not staying in the one spot. I think if you were going to do this, you'd have to both be on the same page if you were a family, or if you were like an individual. I mean, you just got to check in with yourself then, don't you? But it is a really nice way to live. You know, ultimately, all our bills go to food and travel. And, you know, we do spend large amounts of money when we move. But we don't have the costs of cars and mortgages and houses and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, there is like a nice balance there. And it did take time to adjust to the fact that we were spending that much money, especially on some of our transitions that were really small. You know, our move from London to Paris and then down to Blotzheim was about $2,000 because we had to pay for the flights and the train rides plus the accommodation in Paris itself. So, you know, I think once you can like suck that up and, you know, kind of get on with it and understand that that's your expense and that's where your expenses are going, you can budget, obviously. But it's not that easy when you've been doing it the other way, when you've been spending 90% of your income on bills your whole life, at least your adult life. It's really hard to readjust your frame of mind and start thinking the other way. And I think we're starting to get the hang of it now. We know what to book and how to budget now. and you know what our time frames are, and you know sometimes we want to leave things to the last minute because we like that spontaneity, but we can't always have that, and it's just a fact of travel, isn't it? But it is nice to be changing all the time, and I mean it's easily the best decision we've ever made, and I can't say that I really want to come home anytime soon. It's been 1 year and I just don't feel like it's long enough, you know. Traveling and taking like holidays or, you know, sightseeing all the time, you know, is a great way to travel, because then you can actually kind of tick places off your list. But when you're slow traveling, you know, you're taking your time, and then you will not finish what you're doing in many cities, or because there are a lot of big ticket items that you will tick off when you're traveling. And you know, when you slow travel, you're going to start to notice a few of the ins and outs, what the locals do, where the places they're going to go, and that makes a really, really big difference to your experience, because then you start going and venturing out a little bit more. I mean, I don't necessarily know that this thing that I'm sitting in front of right now is a big ticket item, but it's still kind of cool because it's a part of history. So this is where I am right now, and I've just kind of, I wouldn't say stumbled across it, I kind of planned to be here. I'm just glad that there were enough signs and I didn't get completely lost. So this is it here. And now I suppose after the hard work that I put in, I mean for me, what is it, probably like 4Ks up that hill, I'm gonna go have a look. Man, imagine this view if there wasn't any trees. I guess the reason we wanted to create the channel was so that we could actually help people who are sitting on the fence decide whether they want this to be their lifestyle or not. I think at the end of the day, if you've wanted to do it for so long, you probably won't have that much trouble jumping in and doing it. We have still got a lot of family back home, but all our possessions are gone except for an investment property that we have. And you know, that made it a lot easier for us to leave, and it makes it a lot easier to travel too, because you're not constantly worrying about all the things that are necessarily happening back home, and all the bills that you have to pay. And that's not to say that there's no stress involved with this, because there is, you know, changing destinations, figuring out where you're go to next, plus like visa issues can all be like really, really big issues. But I think there's a really big trade-off if you start doing all the things you've always wanted to do. I mean, I can definitely say to myself that I never thought I would be here in Germany, walking through the forest, on top of a mountain, overlooking like a historical city. Not even when I decided to leave a year ago. But that's what I enjoy about this. There's a level of spontaneity, even with that level of planning, that, you know, you really don't get when you're going on holiday. You know, if you're going to plan to go to Europe, you're probably planning at least, you know, 2 years to 18 months in advance, just so you can save up the money to get there. If you're sitting on the fence about this and you're unsure whether it's going to be the right thing for you, but you've always wanted to try it, then I suggest that you should try it, because at the end of the day, like, you can always go back home and pick up where you left off. You can always create another life when you get back there. If you never try what you've always wanted to, you know, I wouldn't say that you were going to regret it, but you might, you know. And we never thought that we would, after saying that we would come here and travel full time 10 years ago. You know, it's always been a bit of a pipe dream. And the reality was that, yeah, we came over with a little bit of money, but that wasn't the thing that was stopping us. It was, you know, we had other responsibilities at home. So I completely respect that from a lot of people. But at the end of the day, you know, if you want this enough, you're going to come, aren't you? And you won't be disappointed. It's just awesome. You know, I get to go back down to the house now. I can go back to work for a couple of hours if I want to, or I can just relax, spend time with Laura and Emery. And then, you know, tomorrow I might do the same, or I might just chill out for the whole day. Who knows? I've still got my deadlines, you know. It's not all fairy tales, right? You do have to work to fund this lifestyle. But if you're looking to become a digital nomad and give it a shot, I suggest that you start looking now and to see what your opportunities are like. For me, my background is personal training and physical therapy. I worked in like sports clubs and clinics and things like that, and I thought for sure that that's probably what I would do if I kept on traveling, and it's the last thing I want to do because I've been doing it for so long prior to leaving. And now I write about it, which is great, because wherever I go, I don't have to think about picking up the work when I get to a location. I just open up my computer, I can work at the airport, I can work wherever I'm going, which is just such a luxury. So if you're planning on doing this, I suggest you start looking now and seeing what your options are. Currently for me, I'm working for 2 websites that are Australian and one that's from the US. and currently building a guide to Wanderlust, creating content for that. We get to do the things that we want to do around our work schedules. I'm still working 50 hours a week, but all of it's just awesome and it's fun. It's completely new. I've been doing it for 6 to 8 months now, and I don't think I'm getting sick of it. I have to actively pull myself away from my work. There's just some of these things that I was never getting when I was driving down to the office every day for 3, 4, 5 years. So anyway, I think I've pep talked this enough. I think you're probably sick of hearing it. So we're going to see if we can get back home now. So it's saying that we've got about 4.1 k's back down to the old town. I think that's what it's saying. So I'm going to head down and see how this goes. Then probably another 2k walk home from once we get there. So I'm happy to say that I actually found the exit to the mountain and I'm walking down the other side. This will head down to the palace. But once we get to the palace, you'll be able to see the view of Old Town from above, hopefully, which is apparently quite spectacular from the photos I've seen online. So I'll see you guys down there. Finally at the bottom of the hill and here at Heidelberg Palace. As you can see behind me, it's actually quite spectacular. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, old, rundown. But you can still go inside and have tours. So I'm going to go take you around the gardens now just for a short view. So let's go check it out. So that's my 10-kilometre detour to Heidelberg Palace. It was a great walk. I'm definitely going to head back up there again a few times before we leave Germany. But my battery's about to run out now, so I guess that's it for this week's video. It's arrive time. It's time to see how many steps I actually did. 16,000. That's actually not that bad.